Okay, so good morning everyone. I am Vishali Dogra, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Graphic Era. So today we will be discussing about your workshop and manufacturing practices in mechanical engineering. So let's start with the introduction part. This is your workshop. Okay, so workshop we can break it down as your work plus shop. Okay, now work is something that is giving us some useful output. If we are gaining some useful output by doing something, so that is work. And shop is defined as a place where the work is being carried out. Okay, so we can define workshop as a place where a useful work is being carried out, means a place where we are doing something that is giving us some useful output. So we will be studying about this workshop and manufacturing practices. So what are the scopes and objectives? So in order to gain the basic knowledge of manufacturing practices, so what is manufacturing, how the parts, how the things that we are using in daily life are being manufactured, what are the processes that we are using. So to have a basic knowledge of that particular thing, we have to study workshop and manufacturing practices. Second is to integrate the theory with practice. We study about the different manufacturing practices, how the things are being fabricated, how they are being manufactured, what are the different processes that we are using. Okay, so this is the theoretical part of the manufacturing. So practically, by manufacturing, by fabricating these manufactured parts, we are integrating your theory with the practices. So to integrate the theory with practices, this particular subject is being studied. Now the next objective is to provide the hands-on experience about the use of different engineering materials. So for each and every branch of engineering, the basic knowledge of the materials, of the tools that we are using in our daily life. Okay, now in daily life, everything that we are using is being fabricated, is being manufactured. Some materials are being used. So to have an experience of that materials, different types of materials, the tools that are being used for manufacturing the particular things, and the equipments and processes that we are using, that are common in all the engineering fields. So to provide the hands-on experience about these lives, that are about these parts, these tools and equipments that we are using in our daily life, we are studying this workshop and manufacturing practices. Now how can you define a manufacturing process? So what is a manufacturing process? How can we define it? So you can define a manufacturing process as a series of operation, okay, where the raw material is being converted into your processed part with the help of human effort or machine. So with the help of machine or human effort, we are converting this raw material, means we are giving input and we are getting the output as a process part with the application of machines or human effort, means with the help of tools and machineries and human power and labor, we are converting this raw material into processed part. So manufacturing process can be defined as a series of operations where the input material is converted into your finished products. Suppose we are using pen. Okay, so this pen is being manufactured by some raw material. We are using a plastic pen, so this plastic is the raw material, so we are providing the raw material as plastic. Okay, so by the help of tools and machineries and human effort, this plastic is being converted into processed part, that is pen, that we are using. So manufacturing is a series of operations that is converting this raw material into processed part for further applications. Now you can see an example here. The processed part here is a table. Okay, so and the raw material that we will be using is wood. So we are converting this wood into table with the help of various machining operations and human effort. So it is a series of operation. You can see here, this is a series of operation that is being used to convert this wood into processed part, that is table. So now what is your workshop practice? So the workshop practice is giving us a basic working knowledge that is required for the production of various engineering products. Okay, so the basic knowledge of the fabrication of the machines used, of the process used for machining. We are studying the basic working knowledge of this production of products in your workshop practices. Now it also explains us about the construction, function, use and application of different tools, equipments, machines, as well as the techniques of manufacturing a product from its raw material. Okay, now let's take an example that we are converting wood into a table or a chair. Secondly, we are converting a plastic into a pen or tablet or something else. Okay, so both are the raw materials. Wood is the raw material, plastic is a raw material. Both are being converted into processed part, but the technique of manufacturing both these processed part from its raw material is different in both the cases. In this particular, we are going through your carpentry shops because wooden work is being done. In this particular process, different casting operations are being carried out. So both the processed parts are having different manufacturing techniques. So in workshop practice, the techniques of manufacturing a products from its raw part is being studied, because for every manufactured part, the technique used is different. So we will be studying the different techniques, tools and equipments in workshop practice. Now the shops that we will be studying in a workshop practice are, the first one will be carpentry shop, where we will be dealing with the wood, wooden tools, wooden components and joints. In welding shop, the different types of welding and welding joints we will be studying. Okay, in machine shop you will be studying about your lathe machines. In smithy and forging shop, we will be studying about the smithy operations. In fitting, how the parts are being fitted. In casting, how casting is made, how the parts are being casted out. And in sheet metal shop, we will be studying about the manufacturing from sheet into raw materials, how the sheet is being converted into your products. So these are the shops that you will be studying in your workshop practice. I will give you a basic introduction to all the shops. Okay, now the tools that we are using in the shops are classified as, okay, now suppose let's take the example, like this is a wooden slab of, you can say 50 by 50 mm by 50 mm. Okay, so this is the raw material that has been given to you, and you have to cut a slab. A slab has to be cut from this raw material, and the dimension of the slab is, it is a rectangular slab of 20 by 10 mm. Okay, so now I am saying that I have given you a raw material and this is the processed part, or this is our output. So for getting this output, first step that we will be doing is we will be measuring this dimension 20 by 10 on this raw material. So the first step for converting any input to output is measuring whatever dimension we have to get for that particular part, measure the dimension. So the first type of tools will be your measuring tools. Okay, now once you have measured the dimension, the second step will be to mark that dimension. This is the raw material. I have measured that this will be my 20 mm and this will be my 10 mm. Okay, now next step is to mark. So this dimension has to be marked so that it can be easily cut. So next type of tool will be the marking tools. Once we have measured the dimension, next step will be that we will be marking that particular dimension on our raw material. For that purpose, marking tools are used. Next will be your holding and supporting tool. Now we have marked the dimension. This particular raw material will be holded with the help of clamps. Okay, we will be providing it as support so that it can be easily cut over the marked dimension. So the third one will be your holding and supporting tools. Once this particular raw material has been holded, the next one will be the cutting tools. We will be cutting this raw material as per the marked dimensions. So after cutting this, we will be getting this much part. Okay, and the last one will be the finishing process. We have cut it down. Now we will be finishing its ends with the help of finishing tools. So these are the steps that has to be carried out for converting your raw material into your processed part. Okay, firstly we'll be measuring the dimension, then mark that particular dimension, hold your input or hold your raw material with the help of supporting tools. Now cut the marked dimension, and the part that we are getting is then finished and the surface is planed. Okay, so these are the operations, series of operations that are being carried out for converting raw material into your processed part. So I'll give you a basic introduction to the shops. So first one is the carpentry shop. So in carpentry shop, as the name suggests, we will be dealing with wood. Okay, so carpentry shop is making of wooden components with the help of carpentry tools. We will be dealing with wood. We will be studying about the seasoning of wood, that is how the moisture from your wooden components is being removed, and the basic material that we are using for making any processed part of wooden component is timber. So in this carpentry shop, you will be practicing different types of wooden joints. You will be practicing different types of wooden joints that we will be making with the help of wood and your wooden tools. So you can see these are your wooden slabs. So this is your raw material. This is the raw material. Okay, so this raw material is converted into wooden components, like you can see here. Okay, a wooden step on. This is a wooden component, or you can say this is the processed part that we have converted from this raw material. Here is a table. This is also a processed part, or you can say this is the, if this is our input, so this is our output. Also, for converting this input to output, a series of operations has been carried out. That is, firstly the measuring will be done, then marking is done, then supporting and cutting and finishing is done, then only we are getting our processed output. So in carpentry shop, we will be dealing with the wooden components and the tools that we are using for converting the raw material into wooden components. So these are some of the basic tools that we'll be using in your carpentry shop. You can see here it is your steel tape. Okay, it is used for measuring purposes. So it is a measuring tool. It is your steel rule, or you can say steel scale. Again, it is a measuring tool, because with the help of this, you can see we can measure the dimension. Like here 5 centimeter we have measured and we have marked here. So it is a measuring tool. These are also some measuring and marking tools. Okay, these are your outside calipers. This is also a caliper for marking purpose. This is tri-square for measuring 90-degree angles. These are also your meter gauge or mortise gauge. These are also marking tools for marking the dimension. We will discuss all these tools in detail in each and every shop. I am giving you a basic introduction about the tools. This is your steel scale. Okay, these are the screwdrivers. This is your sliding bevel. It is used for measuring any angle from 0 to 360 degree. Any angle can be measured with the help of this particular bevel. This is scriber. Like we are using pen, simple pen for marking on a page. Okay, so for marking on steel components or wooden components, we are using scriber. It is a pen having a hard iron tip, or it is having a steel tip. Okay, so these are some of your measuring and marking tools. Now these are also the tools used in carpentry shop. Compass, dividers for measuring and marking purposes. Okay, scribers or marking knife, it is a sliding bevel for marking your angles. Okay, now this is your carpentry vise. It is a holding tool. The raw material is holded between these jaws, okay, so that the cutting can be done easily. This is your C clamp. It is also a holding tool for holding the raw material. Now next are the wooden jack plane and the metal jack plane. These both are your finishing tools. Finishing tools. Once the raw material has been cut into the according to the given dimension, so the surfaces are planed, are finished with the help of this either wooden jack plane or metal jack plane. Okay, so these are also you can see here it is a saw for cutting purpose. This is also a saw. These are different classification of saws. This is crosscut saw, this is tendon saw, this is compass saw. So these are also used for cutting purpose. Okay, next is the chisel. Chisel is also a cutting tool, but it is used for removing the extra part of the wood. It also comes under the classification of cutting tools. Okay, next are the drilling tools. If you have to drill a hole in any wooden component, so these are your drilling tools. Okay, gimlet, hand drill. These are your miscellaneous tools, or you can say striking tools. These are the striking tools. The mallet. Okay, now pincer, claw hammers, bradawl, screwdrivers. These are your striking tools. So these are the different types of tools being used in your carpentry shop. Next type of shop is your fitting shop. So fitting shop means, as the name suggests, fitting means we have to assemble something. Okay, so it is a manufacturing process which refers to the assembling of parts together and removing metals to secure necessary fit. So parts are being assembled in your fitting shop. So in fitting shop, the students you have to practice different types of fitting joints. We will be studying about different types of fitting joints. So you can see here, this is the raw material, this is a vise. So it is holded between the jaws of the vise and it is being cut down with the help of hacksaw. So this is your fitting shop. These are the different jobs that we will be doing in your fitting shop. Okay, you can see these are two parts. So both are being fitted by cutting a C-type clamp. Okay, so in fitting shop we will be studying about different fitting shops. Now again the tools used in fitting shop. So this is your holding tool, bench vise. In between these jaws the raw material is being holded. These are the outside inner calipers. These are your marking tools for marking the particular dimension. It is a vernier caliper. Vernier caliper is used for measuring the dimension, so it is a measuring tool. Okay, next is a tri-square for measuring your 90-degree angles. So these are your measuring and marking tools, and this one is your holding and supporting tool. These are your files for finishing purposes. So these are the finishing tools. Okay, so these both are punch. Punch is used to mark a point. Suppose this is a raw material and at this point I have to drill a hole. So dot punch or center punch is used to mark a dot here, and at this particular dot the hole is being drilled. So these are used for marking a dot for drilling purposes. This is your hacksaw. This is used for cutting, so it is a cutting tool. Okay. Next type of shop will be your welding shop. So welding is a fabrication process for joining the similar metals by using high heat. Okay, so that high heat melts the parts and both the parts are joined after cooling. So in case of welding, we can apply pressure or without pressure. Welding is considering both the cases of pressure also and without pressure also. So welding is a joining process that joins two parts, okay, by the application of heat. It melts these parts and after cooling these parts are being joined like this. It will be joined. So you have to remember that it is a permanent joint. Permanent joint means once both these parts are being joined, this cannot be removed. So welding is a permanent joint. Suppose we are having two sheets and we have to join these sheets. So we can join them with the help of nut and bolt also. Drill a hole here, and both these can be joined with the help of nut and bolt. And if we have to remove both these plates, so the nut and bolt can be opened and both these can be removed. But if we have joined both these parts with the help of welding, so this cannot be removed. So welding is a permanent joint that cannot be removed once both the parts have been joined. So in welding shop you will be studying about your different types of welding joints. So you can see in this image, these were two parts. So both these parts have been joined by welding. So this is the joining by welding. So it is a permanent joint. If we have joined both these parts, so these cannot be removed after joining. So these are some of the tools used in your welding shop. So this is your scale or steel tape for measuring. This is the chipping hammer. Once the welding has been done, the extra amount of the material, weld material, is removed with the help of this chipping hammer. This is your C clamp for holding purposes. This is the wire brush for removing the material after striking with the chipping hammer. This is the file for finishing purpose. These are the hand gloves for safety purpose in welding shop. These were two parts, and after joining, you can see here, this is welding. So after joining, this is the complete part. This is your face shield to protect the face from welding sparks. This is for cutting purpose. Okay, these are also for holding purpose. This is your welding torch. When we are going through your gas welding, then welding torch is the main equipment used. This is your tri-square for measuring 90-degree angles, and these are also your welded components. So these are some of the basic and common tools that we are using in welding shop. These are the different types of welding joints that you will be studying in your welding shop. So these are two parts, both are joined here. So this type of joint is butt joint. When both the parts are joined only at the corner, so this becomes your corner joint. When both are overlapped over each other, okay, so these are overlapped, so the name is lap joint. In the form of T shape, when both the parts are joined in the form of T shape, so this becomes your T joint. And if both the parts are joined at the edges, if both the edges of the parts are joined with the help of welding, so this is your edge joint. So these are the different types of joints that you will be studying in your welding shops. Next comes your machine shop. Next is the machine shop. Okay, so in machine shop, the parts are cut. Firstly, the part is cut, then it is fabricated in the desired process part, and after that the finishing is done for further use. So in machine shop, the part is cut, fabricated and finished. We will be studying about the lathe machine in machine shop. Study about the lathe machine, okay, where the workpiece rotates about an axis and various operations like threading. Threading means, suppose this is a cylindrical part, so threads are being cut. Facing is done. Turning is done where the length is reduced. Knurling is done, that is for gripping purposes we are doing knurling with the help of certain tools. So you can see here, this is your lathe machine. You will be studying different parts of lathe, what is the function of lathe machine, what are the operations that we are performing. Okay, so this is the workpiece that is being holded in the machine, and with the help of tool these various operations are being carried out, and the extra parts you can see here that is being removed, these are called as your chips. Okay, so these are the different lathe operations that you will be studying. So this is your facing, okay, this is the tool and this is the workpiece. So this is the facing operation where the diameter of any part is reduced. Next is your taper turning, where the diameter is reduced but not constant diameter, it varies throughout, it is in the form of taper. Now at contour turning, a contour is made, you can see here it is a particular contour, that is contour turning. In forming, a particular shape is being formed. Okay, in chamfering, what is chamfering? We are having pointed edges, so these edges are beveled, means we are converting this from pointing to this shape, so this is known as chamfering, for converting your pointed edges to bevel shape, that is chamfering. Cut off means to cut this particular part in two parts. Threading, you can see here threads are being made that are further used for holding purposes. Next is your boring, that can be also done on lathe machine. Now boring is that once you have drilled a hole, we have drilled a hole, if we have to enlarge that particular hole, so we are going through boring process. Okay, so boring can be done on lathe, drilling can be done on lathe, and knurling. Knurling is cutting this diamond like structures on a part that is used for gripping purpose, to have a proper holding grip. So these are the different lathe operations that you will be performing on lathe machine. We will be studying about different these types of operations and how these operations are being performed on a lathe machine. Now next will be the smithy shop or your forging shop. Okay, now what is smithy or forging? It is shaping of metal using local compressive forces. Local compressive forces means you have seen that what is being done, the metal is being heated, the metal is heated in a furnace, okay, and it is striked with the help of hammer to give a desired shape. So with the help of hammer means local compressive forces are being used to shape a metal into any desired shape. So you can see the images, we are heating up the metal, this is the metal that is being heated up, and with the help of hammer it is being striked to give any desired shape. You can see here we have given this spiral like shape to this particular metal. So this process of using local compressive forces and giving a shape to a metal is known as smithy or forging. Okay, so you can see in this image, this is a furnace. In furnace the metal is being heated up at particular temperature, okay, and on this particular anvil we are placing this heated metal, and with the hammer, with the help of hammer, with the help of striking tools, the desired shape is being given to this particular metal. So this is your smithy shop where local compressive forces are being used to give the shape to the metal. These are some of the tools being used in smithy shop. These are the tongs for holding the heated metal. The metal that we are heating in the furnace is being holded with the help of tongs. These are the hammers being used for giving the compressive forces. This is the anvil on which this heated metal is being placed and hammered with the hammered and given the desired shape. So this is anvil. We will be studying different parts in detail once we will be going through the smithy shop. And these are the furnaces where the coal is being heated up and a particular temperature is being provided for heating the metal. Okay, so these are some of the tools that we are using in smithy shop. Now for working during your workshops, you have to go through or remember some safety precautions. Firstly is that you have to always cover your foot. Your foot should be covered, so always wear covered footwear. No loose clothing or loose long hairs are allowed. Okay, because if you are wearing loose clothes or long hairs and your hair are open when machine is being operated, so that can be stuck in the machine and lead to a particular hazard. So to provide these hazards, no loose clothing and long hairs are allowed in workshops. Next is never use the files and screwdrivers without handle. Okay, always use the tools that are having particular handle for holding purposes. Never operate a machine without supervision. This is the important one. Okay, and unless you know how to operate that particular machine, never operate any machine without any supervision and without the proper knowledge of that particular machine. Now when you are doing welding or when you are in machine shop, always wear goggles for the safety of your eyes. Okay, because in machining purpose chips are being removed. To protect the eyes from the chips, always wear goggles. To protect your eyes from the sparks during the welding, always wear goggles. Always wear the safety gloves and aprons while you are in welding shop basically and in workshops. So remember to always wear safety hand gloves and aprons. And do not throw the water on machines. Okay, so it is the also a common hazard. So never throw water on the machines because it will lead to a dangerous hazard, because all of us know that water is a good conductor of electricity. So these are some of the safety precautions that you have to keep in your mind while performing any operation in your workshop labs. So this was the common introduction to your workshop and manufacturing practices, that what are the different types of shops that you will be studying, a basic introduction to all the shops. Okay, now we'll be studying in detail about your carpentry shop. Today we'll be discussing about the carpentry shop. So again you can see the classification of the tools, the measuring tool, then marking is done, then testing is done, then the raw material is holded, cutted and finished. So these are the classification of your hand tools. Okay, so we will be discussing about the carpentry shop. Today we will be discuss in detail about carpentry shop. Okay, so carpentry shop is the process of making your wooden components. So the process of making wooden components is carpentry shop. So what we are doing in carpentry shop is we are converting a marketable form of wood, means a raw material, that is your wood, is converted into a finished product. So in carpentry shop, the marketable form of wood is converted into finished product with the help of different carpentry tools. Okay, so next is that preparation of joints is done. So the finished product that we are getting is having different joints. Okay, so different carpentry wooden joints we have made, and with the help of joints we are joining two or more parts. So preparation of joints is done in your carpentry shop. You will be studying about the different types of carpentry joints. We will be studying and making different types of carpentry joints such as cross slab joint, T-joints, etc. So in carpentry shop we will be dealing with the wooden components and different types of joints we will be making. Okay, so now the first term in carpentry shop is wood and timber. So what is wood and what is timber? In this image you can see it is a forest with number of trees. So the wood, this tree trunks and branches, this is known as wood. Okay, when these tree trunks are being converted in the form of slabs, this is known as timber. So you can say that the forest product is wood, and when this forest product is converted in the form of slabs, this is known as timber. So wood is a forest product, that is trunks and branches of a tree, and timber is the manufactured boards and the manufactured slabs. These are known as timber, which is further used for engineering and build purposes. So the forest product is wood, and the boards and the slabs, wooden material, is known as your timber. So this is the basic difference between wood and timber. The next term comes the seasoning of wood. So seasoning of wood means the removing of the moisture content from the wood. Now you can see in this image, once the wood has been converted into timber, so the moisture content from the slabs has to be removed, and the process of removing the moisture content from the wood is known as seasoning of wood. Okay. Now seasoning of wood is done to minimize the structural problems like your cutting problems when you have to paint. So different processes that have to be carried out. So to minimize the structural problems during that particular processes, so the seasoning of wood is done. These are the wooden boards and slabs, that is your timber. Okay. So the objectives of seasoning is, first one is to reduce the risk of fungal and insect attack, because once the wood has been converted into slabs and boards, okay, so that has to be kept somewhere. So during preservation time, to reduce this risk of fungal and insect effect, the seasoning is being done. Secondly, to reduce the weight of the wood, the seasoning is done. Next is to avoid the defects such as shapes, splits and cracks. If there is a moisture content in wood, so the shape of the wood can be distorted, there can be different defects in the wood. So to reduce all that, to avoid all that defects, the seasoning in wood is done. And also for proper painting and polishing purpose, the seasoning in done in your wood or timber. So now seasoning can also be classified into two types, natural and artificial seasoning. So in natural seasoning, as the name suggests, natural, the wood stacks are kept in open air, means the sunlight is used for removing the moisture. Natural process is used for removing the moisture. So the wood stacks are kept in open air or in sunlight. So with the help of sunlight, the moisture is being removed from the wood. So this is natural seasoning. And artificial seasoning, as the name suggests, artificial means we will be providing an artificial environment. Artificial environment will be provided to remove the moisture. Okay, so a controlled environment is provided to dry the wood or remove the moisture content. So you can see here, these are the wooden slabs, and with the help of fan and steam jets, controlled environment or artificial environment is provided inside this to remove the moisture content. So two types of seasoning are natural seasoning and artificial seasoning. You can see here there are different types of images. So this is air seasoning, means the timber stacks are left in open sunlight. So this is air seasoning. These are both your artificial seasoning. These both are artificial seasoning. Okay, you can see in this particular container, artificial environment will be provided, and these slabs will be kept inside this container and the moisture will be removed. Similarly, this is a container where the artificial environment will be provided. We will be stacking this slab inside this container, and with the help of artificial environment provided, the moisture will be removed. Next is the characteristic of hard and softwood. Now the wood is further classified as softwood and hardwood. Okay, the wood that we are using for different parts for making different components is the hardwood. Hardwood is used for making different wooden components. So what is the difference between softwood and hardwood? Firstly, softwood is resinous wood. Now what is resinous wood? You might have seen that some trees are removing some resin like material, some resin like or gum like material is coming out from some trees. So that trees which release resins is known as resinous wood. Now trees that are removing resins, this is particular for avoiding insects, so that there is no insect attack on the tree. So some trees are releasing resins and gums, so that trees are known as resinous wood, and that is your softwood. Whereas in hardwood there is no resin, means the non-resinous wood is known as your hardwood. Nextly, the softwood is having straight fiber and good texture. Now if you see softwood and hardwood, it is having a good texture and it is compact. Softwood is light in color as well as in your weight, but your hardwood, when you will be seeing your hardwood, it will be dark in color as well as heavy in weight. You can see this image. This is dark in color. The color is dark. Okay, in this case the color is light, as well as the fiber. You can see this line like structure. So it is having straight fiber and light color. It is dark in color and the fibers are also compact fibers are there. Annual rings are distinct in softwood. Now what is annual ring? If you see a tree trunk, sometimes we see these circles. So these circles are known as annual rings. With the help of annual rings, we are determining the age of the tree. So in case of softwood, annual rings are distinct, means these are clear. You can easily see the annual rings in case of softwood, but in case of hardwoods, the annual rings are not clear, means these are not distinct. Now softwood is having good tensile strength but weak shear strength. Now what is tensile and shear strength? If this is a part, okay, and the forces are applied in both the faces in outward direction, so this is tensile force. Okay, now in shear force, if this is your part, on the edges we are applying the forces, so this is shear force. Now softwood is having good tensile strength but weak shear strength, means when you are applying shear force, it will be teared out easily. In hardwood, both the tensile and the shear strength is good enough. So because of the, now you can see it is having weak shear strength, so it get split up quickly, and it is having good shear strength, means high shear strength, so it is not easily splitted up. It is weaker and less durable. It will be more stronger and more durable. It catches fire, means it cannot withstand high temperatures. If we are increasing the temperature, so at a particular temperature the softwood will catch fire. But hardwood is having an advantage in refractoriness. Refractoriness means it is having refractory property. Property means it can withstand high temperatures. Okay, so it can withstand high temperature, means it will not be catching fire easily. So it is an advantage of your hardwood. It is easy to work on softwood, whereas it is difficult to work on your hardwood. So these are the differences between your softwood and hardwood. Okay, the wood that we are using for making wooden components is the hardwood. Now there are some defects in wood, and that defects are classified as natural defects and conservation defects. So in natural defects, these are the abnormality during the growth. When the tree is growing, so the abnormality during that growth period is the natural defect. And conservation defect means we have conserved something, means we have preserved something. So the defects due to lack of proper maintenance during preservation of wood is known as conservation defect. So the natural defects are like knots, hollow, spiral grains and shakes, whereas conservation defects can be shakes, distortion and defects due to fungi and insects. So natural defects means abnormality during the growth period. And conservation defects means defects due to the lack of proper maintenance while preserving the wood. These are some of the images you can see. There are cracks, so these are shakes. Okay, this is the distortion in structure, it is distorted here, so this is distortion. Okay, you can see the blackened surface here, so this is the fungal or insect attack. Okay, now you can see again, you can see these are some knots, these structures. So this is also your fungal infect, fungal or insect attack, that is the distortion or defect during conservation. Now this you can see a hollow like structure, this is your knot. Okay, again here this is fungal or insect attack. So these are some of the wood defects that are natural and conservation defects. Now we will be discussing the tools that we will be using in carpentry shops. So the first type of tools that we will be using in every shop is measuring and marking tools. So in carpentry shop, these are the measuring and marking tools. This is your folding scale, this is the steel scale, and this is steel tape. So these are your measuring tools. Okay, these are also measuring tools. This is tri-square for measuring 90-degree angles. This is meter square, it measures 45-degree angle at one side and 135-degree angle on the other side. So this portion that is used for holding is stock, and this is the blade portion. So tri-square or meter square has two parts, stock for holding and second part is blade. Okay, so tri-square measures angle 90-degree, as well as with the help of tri-square we can also measure the flatness of the surface, that it is proper flat or not. And this meter square is used for measuring 45-degree angle and 135-degree angle. These are also your measuring tools. Next is your sliding bevel. Now with the sliding bevel we can measure angles other than 90-degree. Any other angle, whether it is 30-degree, 40-degree, 100-degree. So any angle other than 90-degree can be measured with the help of sliding bevel. So it is also a measuring tool. Okay, next is your marking gauge. So as the name marking, so it is your marking tool. Once we have measured the dimension, we can mark with the help of marking gauge. So you can see the parts. This is the knife tip. You can see a tip like structure here. This is knife tip. This is a knife edge wedge that can be fixed. This is the thumb screw used for fixing or tightening this particular fence. This one is the stem. So after measuring the dimension and locking it with the help of thumb screw, a line, you can see here a line is being marked. So with the help of this knife tip, the measured line can be marked on your raw material. So marking gauge is a marking tool. Okay. Now similar to marking gauge is a mortise gauge. The difference is that two parallel lines can be marked at the same time. Two lines, parallel lines can be marked because it is having two knife tips. Okay. This is fixed and this is adjustable. So this distance between them can be adjusted with the help of this adjustable tip. Okay, so for measuring marking single parallel line, your marking gauge is used, and for marking two parallel lines, mortise gauge is used. So it is also a marking tool. Okay. Next is your scriber. Scriber is also a marking tool. It is having a point or tip like your normal pen is there that we are using. There is a tip in a pen which is used for writing purpose. Similarly, it is having a pointed tip that is made up of cast steel. With the help of this tip, we can mark the particular dimension. It is having a pen like structure. You can see this portion is called chuck. This is a clip for clipping it to a particular surface. This is the body of the scriber, and this is the head or cap of the scriber. So with the help of this tip, we can mark the measured dimension. Next type of, once we have measured and marked, so next step is to hold the raw material. So next type of tools will be your holding and supporting tools. In carpentry shop, the holding and supporting tool is the bench vise. So bench vise is fixed on a bench. It is permanently fixed on a bench. So in bench vise, you can see we are having two jaws. It is fixed on a bench. Okay. So this is the stationary jaw. This jaw cannot be moved, but this one is the sliding jaw. Means you can open this jaw with the help of this handle. Okay, rotate this handle and this sliding jaw will slide in backward direction. And can be slided. Okay, after sliding this, insert the raw material and again rotate it in the forward direction, and the raw material will be fixed inside these jaws. Okay, this is the screw with the help of which this sliding jaw is moving. This is your lead screw. These are your threads. Okay, these are the guide bars, and this is the mounting bracket. So bench vise is the holding and supporting tool in your carpentry shop. Okay, now clamps and screws are also used for holding. Okay, now bench vise is fixed, but C clamps can be used anywhere for fixing the raw material on any particular surface. These are not fixed at a particular bench or something. You can use C clamps to fix the raw material at any particular position. So C clamps and screws are also your holding and supporting tools. So after we have holded then supported the raw material, then so the next step will be cutting step, cutting the mark dimension. So these are some of the cutting tools: rip saw, cross cut saw and tenon saw. You can see this is your rip saw, this is cross cut saw, and this is tenon saw. Now what is the difference between rip saw and cross cut saw? So as the name suggests, cross, so suppose this is the raw material, okay, and if this is the grain structure of this raw material in this direction, and we have to cut this much portion, means in this direction we have to cut. So we will be using rip saw when we have to cut along the grain structure. But if we have to cut across the grain structure, if we have to cut like this much portion we have to cut, so we will be using cross cut saw, means across the grain structure we will be cutting. So cross cut means across the grain structure and rip saw means along the grain structure. Tenon saw, the rectangular one is the tenon saw. Okay, so you can see the difference between cross cut teeth and rip teeth. Now you can see here it is written 14 TPI and here it is written 12 TPI. The TPI means teeth per inch. So the length of the saw is defined as TPI. 14 TPI means in 1 inch we are having 14 teeth. Suppose this is 1 inch distance. So in this particular distance we will be having 14 number of teeth. 12 TPI means in this particular 1 inch distance we will be having 12 teeth. So 14 TPI and 12 TPI means 14 teeth per inch and 12 TPI means 12 teeth per inch. Now in cross cut teeth and rip teeth, the difference is that This angle, you can see here, the angle in rib teeth is 10 degree, whereas the angle in this cross cut teeth is 15 degree. So this is the difference between cross cut teeth and rib teeth. The difference is between the angles. Next is the chisel. It is also your cutting tool, because the material is being, cutting means the removal of material. Cutting is the removal of material. So with the help of chisel also we are removing the material. So it is also a cutting tool. You can see here, this is chisel. So with the help of chisel we are removing the wood from this particular surfaces. So chisel is also a cutting tool that is used for removing wood. So these are some of the parts. Chisel, this is the handle. Okay, this is ferrule. This tang is inserted in this handle and it is fixed. This is the neck-like structure, so it is neck. This is the blade of the chisel, and this is the important one, that is cutting edge, that is removing the wood from the surface. So it is a sharp and hardened edge, sharp and hardened, so that the wood can be easily removed. This is X that is used to cut the wood from the trees. So axes are used for cutting the wood from the trees. After cutting is the finishing. Next we will be finishing the surfaces. So next type of tool is your planing tools or finishing tools. So for wood, for in carpentry shop we are using jack plane. Jack plane is used for finishing. So you can see the parts. This is the body, this is the toe, this is the knob. The important parts here are knob and handle. This is knob, this is handle. Okay, this is the heel, this is the adjusting lever. This can be adjusted at a particular angle. So for how to use jack plane, hold with the help of knob and handle. You can see, with the help of one hand we are holding the knob and another hand is used for holding the handle. So after holding the knob and the handle, this jack plane is moved in forward and backward direction. You will be moving this like this, and the surface, the extra amount of material on the surface gets removed like this. These you can see, these are the removal of wood. So this is your jack plane for finishing the surface of the wood. Next are your striking tools. Okay, now when you are using chisel, so chisel is used with the help of striking. On the back portion we are striking with the help of hammer and the material is getting removed. So these are some of your striking tools: mallet, claw hammer and pin hammer. So mallet, remember mallet is your wooden hammer. The hammer that is made up of wood is your mallet. You can see it is totally made up of wood, so this is mallet. As the name says, claw hammer, it is having a claw like structure here for removing or pinching out the nails if wrongly inserted. Next is the pin hammer. It is having a pin like structure, so it is pin hammer, or we also call it as ball pin hammer. So these are the parts of your hammer. This is the handle. Okay, this is ball pin hammer, this one is ball pin hammer. So this is your ball pin, ball like structure. This is the striking face, that is, suppose we have to insert a nail, so the head of this nail is struck with this striking face of the hammer. So this is the striking face. This structure, neck like structure, is neck. This is your the cheek of the hammer. So this one is claw hammer. Same parts are here. This is the face, that is the striking face. This is the bell, or you can say pole. This is again neck like structure, neck. Here claws are there. If suppose this nail gets wrongly inserted, so with the help of these claws this can be lifted out. So this is the hammer. You can see here some dotted like structures are there. So this is done for gripping purposes. So there are some other miscellaneous tools also that can be used in your carpentry shops. So this is your screwdriver. This is pincer. Pincer is used for removing the nails that have been hammered. If wrongly inserted, you can remove that with the help of claws of the claw hammer or with the help of pincers. Rasp file is used for, it is a kind of your finishing tool. It is also used for removing the wood. Now these are the wooden joints that we will be making in a carpentry shop. So first one, now we know the lap joint. Lap joint means overlapping of two pieces have been done. So suppose we are having two pieces, X and Y. If both these pieces are overlapped on each other, suppose this is Y and on Y this X piece have been overlapped. So this is lap joint. A lap joint means overlapping of pieces is being done. So lap joint can all in wooden, lap joint is classified as T lap joint when the lap like structure is in the form of T. Okay, so this is X part, this is Y part. So for making a T like structure, this will be the shape that we have to cut on X part, and this one will be on Y part, and both will be fixed and we will be getting a T like structure. So this is T lap joint because both are overlapped on each other. In cross lap joint, both X and Y are having same structure, so both will be overlapped over each other like this. A cross like structure will be made, so it is a cross lap joint. If the lapping is done on the ends of the X and Y piece, so this will be the end lap joint. You can see here X and Y piece, at the end the lapping will be done. Next type of joint is the dovetail joint. Okay, you can see this is the X piece and this is the Y piece. So a tapered like structure is cut on X part, and similar to this on, it is a groove like structure on Y part. So both will be fitted, and this type of joint we will be getting is your dovetail joint. Next and the last one, the important joint is the mortise and tenon joint. Mortise and tenon joint. So this is the strongest wooden joint. So the strongest wooden joint is the mortise and tenon joint. So in mortise and tenon joint, this portion is tenon, in which the structure is protruded outwards. So this is tenon, and which the part in which a groove is cut for fixing of this tenon is mortise. So here the X portion, the X part is the tenon where the part is protruded in outward direction, and the Y part in which a groove is there is your mortise. So you can see here this is X part, this is tenon, and this is Y part, this is mortise. So this is when you insert this tenon in this becomes your mortise and tenon joint. So remember that this is the strongest wooden joint that is used in making most of the wooden components. Okay, you can see here this joint, you can see this is your mortise because the groove is cut here, and this one that is inserted in mortise is tenon joint. So this is mortise and tenon joint that is used in making maximum of the wooden components like tables, chairs. So here this mortise and tenon joint is used, and in dovetail joints this joint is basically used like in sliding tables at the edges of the sliding table. So at the edges the dovetail joints are used. So the strongest one is the mortise and tenon joint. So this is all about your carpentry shop. Thank you class, thank you all.